Hey, what's going on, everybody? Robert Marzullo here from Ram Studio Comics, and got another drawing video for you today. And this one is kind of based around foreshortening, but it's the coil technique, and I've been using this more and more. So I wanted to share it with you. It's great for foreshortening. So what you basically do, I'll start off by showing you the old school one that I started off with. That a lot of people I still kind of use it in place of some things, certain positions or whatever. But you got your basic mannequin layout. This would be an arm. Here's your shoulder, elbow, your forearm. The reason why the forearm looks a lot longer here, generally it will anyways, but it's because of the foreshortening that this arm would be, or a portion of the arm would be coming closer to you. You do your cylinder method over top, and this is a great I don't want to say beginner technique because it's not so much a beginner technique as just a technique, but I just feel that I've transitioned from using this as much. And then for a hand, as I've said in some of my other videos, I always do a wedge shape like this, and then the thumb kind of comes off of here, well, in this position, as a little, kind of narrowed cylinder like that, and then so on and so forth with your fingers, which are a three-piece like that, you know. And that's actually, even the way I just sketched those real fast, that's almost a little bit more uh, in line with the coil method. It's kind of like scribbling, but it's a way to do it in a way where you kind of think 3D. So I'll do the same arm now, or something similar. Uh, there's my shoulder coming at the viewer. There's my bicep, making the transition to the forearm, and then down to the wrist. There's the opening of the wrist. Now, right there, it just kind of looks like some scribbles, but you start training your eye to look through it, and I'll just show you by adding another layer and show you how I would kind of perceive it. Convert that to a blue line and grab a let's see, darker color. Let's just go with the red so you can see it real nice and bright. And I'll grab the pen tool, which is a little bit more pronounced. Okay, so now what happens is you would go over that and you'd use your rope style drawing, kind of sort of, where you just kind of find the muscles, and you're kind of focusing on the starting and end point of the anatomy or the muscles, and you just use that initial kind of. I look at it, like I said, like a 3D sketch. I think if I look at it in that fashion, I start to get a little bit more perspective on the drawing. Now hands, I still kind of use the wedge shape. I'm just kind of used to that still. So I'll use the same kind of wedge shape here. But even with fingers, like I started to do over there, I'll tend to even, well, let me go back to the sketch layer, just so you can see what's going on here. I'll still kind of scribble these out in that little cone method, and at times I've gotten even some really nice hand gestures with this effect. It's just a little bit more fluid, and I think that this would really help you if you're somebody like me that struggled with having overly stiff drawings. I still do. You can see my work and check it out and let me know what you think. But I think at times I struggle to make some of my structures a little bit too stiff and rigid, and I hate that look. So it's really strange that I would even have that problem because I notice it, I recognize it, but now I'm trying to deal with it and come up with a more just fluid, natural feel. Not so boxy, and I think that's where this over here lends to being too overstructured for uh, body poses sometimes. So okay, let's go ahead and do another one that shows you how that coil method works with an arm, kind of foreshortened, not extreme foreshortened. I guess I'll just do it below here, and let's try like a leg. So let me go back to our sketch layer, and like a leg coming out at the viewer. Again, I'll do it over here with the traditional method. And actually, let me make that come right out to the viewer a little more. So typically, doing a leg like this, I guess I would, there's the knee, here's the area where it would meet the pelvis, like that, kind of round that over and recess back. this area is actually thicker up here than down here, but because of the foreshortening, we have to reverse that and make this area up here thicker, or at least the same size, which in turn would make it balance out. Alright, the side of the knee, which kind of is its own shape, and you want that divider from this to the lower part of the leg. I almost said foreleg, like forearm, foreleg. And then something like this. So that's how I would do it in the traditional cone method, even though I started to draw the musculature as I did the cone method. So, that's the other thing. Certain things you'll just kind of pinball back and forth and mix them up. It just gives you more tools into your arsenal for producing this stuff, and that's what you want for speed and style and all that. Okay, so there's that. Now I'll try the same thing with the coil method. Find my beginning point, which is the width of the leg. Bring it out. Slowly narrow it down to the knee. Draw that secondary shape for the knee. Kind of probably go sideways like this with the coils. And then I turn it over, and I might just do the positioning, because there's kind of a little bend here to the lower part of the leg like that I think makes it look a little bit more athletic or natural. I just kind of roll those out on the side like that. I'm just kind of shaping it, that's the way I look at it. Like almost like in this way I'm more sculpting, so, and I need to widen out that leg, so I'm still scribbling along the side there. But there's my basic start point like that, which, looks the same. I guess it's kind of weird going back and forth from one to the other, but let me go ahead and do the line work over top now. Alright, and again, focusing more on the shape and where the muscles would land. Like this one kind of comes in, rolls back. You got this top one, which I don't know the name unfortunately. Goes like that. These kind of divide around the knee, like so. You got your kneecap in here. The kneecap kind of has this little pocket or bulge around the top and bottom, like this. And this one tucks right along the side of the knee. This one actually kind of strings up a bit, then comes up and around and is larger to that side. Yeah, not digging that one, but I think here what I would do to get this leg right, I would do a redraw, and then I would actually just take it and start. A lot of times when I struggle with foreshortening, I'll start with the portion that's closest, like the knee. I'll work on drawing the depth of the knee. So this is like a wedge to make it look like the knee is recessing back on the top portion of it. And then I'll focus on this part of the muscle and probably look at reference at this point, but this part of the muscle that comes around the knee kind of encompasses it, because I think that's the most predominant muscle from this angle. And then this top one really kind of does this dramatic V, because if you want it to really look like it's recessing back, see how this is more elongated, so it looks like it's going up, not recessing back. So I come over here, recess this back. Remember to bring this one shy of the knee and then have it kind of string down like that. And then the inner part of the leg is usually pretty bulky right there, I think. This is the side of the knee that you see a little bit of. And then the foreleg, as I like to call it, the lower part of the leg. I'm going to have to do another study on legs. I've been struggling with these lately, but I don't know, legs are a tough one, just to get right, because there's a few different things going on there. Like actually, I think what happens right here, this bone or muscle kind of comes in front of the calf here, and you just kind of, the calf kind of peeks around there, where this one is actually more wrapped around the side, so you get some of this right there. I believe that's how it is. But I constantly have to go back and revisit my anatomy books and study all that and redraw a few to kind of keep it fresh in the old brain box. So see, and I even still, I would probably still widen out this top portion of the leg and try to dramatize the view, the angle a little bit more. But okay, I don't want to deviate too far from what I'm trying to explain with the coil method. You'll want to use a mixed bag of these different techniques. So let's go back to the sketch layer, see if I can try to coil out almost a whole character shape. Maybe using a few of these techniques. So you got the head, the torso. The torso I usually do where I draw it larger up top, skinnier to the waist, obviously, kind of this, V shape or kind of this bean shape like that. I'm sorry, you should always start with your motion line, which I call the spine. There should always be this bend there. And another good rule of thumb is to always make sure that the shoulder alignment and the hip alignment are two different angles. Gives it a little bit more natural effect to the drawing. And alright, now for the coil method, again, I will do a slight mannequin still. So they're just kind of like, hey, what's up? Arms up, whatever. Maybe a slight walking movement, like so. Okay, now the coils. Alright, so the bicep, the forearm, and actually, let me grab the pencil tool because I think there's a little bit less lag. It's not as defined, but it's got a little bit less lag. And you want that because the kind of the effect that you're going for is this very natural scribbling where you can kind of hurry up and define the roundedness of the objects you're trying to do, the shapes that you're trying to do. So if it's lagging on you, that kind of hinders you a bit. That's another thing that I want to make a quick note of. Make sure that you really play with all your settings, and whether it be your drawing software, obviously you can do this on paper, but if you're using drawing software, make sure that you get in there, play with all the settings. And I'm talking the tablet settings, the software settings for the program that you're drawing in. Don't do that last, because if there's something that's hindering you, like say lag, or which you can control lag by drawing on smaller initial file sizes. So that'll help you if you don't have a real powerful system to work with right away and work your way up to learning all this stuff. But what happens there is if you think it's you and it's the your setup, well then that's going to hinder you from growing and learning as quickly. So make sure that your setup's right first. It's just like if you were gonna build something, you wouldn't get your tools last. You'd get all your tools first, line it all up, get everything ready, then you just start building, start drawing out your plans and build what you got to do. But you wouldn't at the end of your building project, you wouldn't go, oh, is this the right hammer? You'd make sure you had that first. So same thing with this or any other project you do. Alright, so that coil method didn't come out the greatest, but it still gave me my my 3D start point. And again, that's just the way I look at it. It's kind of 3D, and it's very scribbly, but it's more loose. And now when I come back, because I can fill in some quick hands here too. This pinky always kind of curls up like that. And another thing, keep in mind, this isn't going to eliminate the need to do your figure drawing either. Your homework's still a must. You still got to draw from life, or comics, whatever you prefer to draw from to get, your effect. The only problem with drawing from comics is you'll develop an overly stylized effect because you'll be drawing style from style. from even style that they pulled from different artists. So what you need to do is draw from life and then combo that in with things that you admire, whatever. But you still want to do your figure drawing so that you can use these techniques alongside the figure drawing, and then that's what allows you to see things that are wrong, like in the proportions. This how the legs are too stumpy, the head's too upright and and too far back, based on the position of the shoulders. So you start getting that knowledge to see that stuff from your figure drawing, um, and drawing from life. So keep in mind that this isn't a replacement for that. This is something to coincide with that. I usually erase that spine because it throws me off after I've got the initial sketch. Looks like I'm trying to say that's my front line. I usually do the front center line like this. So that way, if I decide to twist the hips, I see that real clearly as I start to draw on my next stage. So there's my chest line like that. Um, I would probably, just as a quick way to get the proportions right, I'll take my selection tool. Uh, Sorry, I had to find that. Just grab the legs and just up them just a little bit, because they look too stumpy for me, especially for comic illustration. For comic illustration, the proportions are just very elongated. Okay, so now we'll take that back to the red. Nope, I'm still on the blue line layer. Okay, and then now I'll just kind of sketch over top. Just using that as my positioning, but then doing my rope drawing of my anatomy and finding my shapes that seem, uh, cool to me or whatever. Like that. There's the collarbone, shoulder, bicep, tricep, elbow, forearm, and you just kind of just do what I'm doing there. We just kind of scribble it out, finding the shapes, and that's just your, like I said, your 3D kind of guide to go to the next stage of the drawing process. And you still use your imagination, obviously, as you're doing this, and try to figure out the next. Ooh, it's coming out ugly. Yep, that is an ugly hand. Whoa, sorry about that. But that's why you just keep going. Like, I'll probably fill in my wedge shape. I don't know what it is. Something about just throwing in that shape like that of the hand makes it a lot easier. Then you just have to worry about the fingers. But I'll zoom in to do that. So let me get my overall shape first, and I'll go back to that. Alright, now up here, the chest would kind of come out, or at least for our superhero figure. Like that. The solar plex. I really gotta study my anatomy names. I know what these are, the love handles. Which I don't have those, so I don't know how I know the name of that, because alright, I do. I mean, you guys won't believe in that anyways, right? What artist doesn't have love handles? Alright, so the knee, boom, lower part of the leg. See, I'm just kind of tracing around it. I'm not, and I'm not saying this is coming out great or nothing, but it's not horrible. I mean, I could use this for an expressive pose, and it doesn't feel overly stiff to me in this way. Where if I would have drew it with the Coil Method, I can tell you right now this would have looked very stiff and too rigid and too structured. So that's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because for some reason it helped me out a lot. And I can't say that's going to help all you guys out, because it's probably just depending on how you look at your artwork and how you draw, if this gives you the right technique to make your stuff better. So try it, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, just keep going with what you know. But like I said, it does help me a lot, and I'm noticing it on a couple levels, like my figure drawing. What else? I used it on something the other day. Goodness, I wouldn't say stuff like my buildings. Some of my backgrounds, just anything organic. It was like plants or something, or yeah, I was doing like some plants in a drawing, and I just kind of made like this, scribble effect and helped me find the shape a little bit better. So I think it's just the way that it, you know, makes you look at something and makes your mind open up to different things that you can draw in that shape. So, all right, so now let's get the hands. I just kind of draw like the shading. That gives me my starting point to know where my rest of my shadows got to go just by doing that. That's my little start reference point. All right, so zoom in there a little bit more to do the fingers. And same thing, I can kind of use that little scribble effect. Oh, that's a pretty long finger, but, or you know what, I'm sorry, I should actually just draw them out because I've already got my scribbles in there, or I'd separate that and do one more layer. Always do a little space in between the fingers too. It's something I've been doing more lately, and it looks a little more natural. The fingers are never a perfect little V right there. They actually go like this, come back down, nice little space, and you get a more natural hand from doing that. So, FYI. And the other thing is that the fingers always kind of have their own direction. That's I don't even know if that's a proper hand shape, but no. I'll leave it. But yeah, they all kind of have their own direction, mind of their own. So they're all size just a little bit different, and they all head in their own direction just by a little bit. Now, the middle two kind of have a relationship to one another. You'll notice if you move, like if you try to move those two apart, it feels a little bit more difficult. Unless of course you're Spock, or something. But they have a relationship where they kind of, I think they might be controlled by the same muscle or tendon, but you definitely feel it and see it in the drawings that they kind of go in the same direction a lot. Alright, so there's a hand. That thumb's a little wacky, but whatever. This is just a quick sketch. And then you just start filling in more of your detail work and then figuring out your shading and go all crazy with line work like I do or whatever. And, but that gives you your starting point. And to me, that's where your drawing is going to look more rough. If you're going to see it in the very beginning, if it starts off too straight and too I keep coming back to rigid, but too boxy, too structured in the very beginning, then the end result is going to show that. So that's why I want to show you this method. So just take that coil method, mess around with it, scribble all kinds of things, foreshortening, body parts, things around the house, whatever you can get your hands on, and play with it and see if it works for you. So hopefully it's been helpful, and be sure to like and subscribe and share the videos if you don't mind, and let me know in the comments section what you'd like to see in the future, and I put that on a list, and as I get a couple people that want the same thing, that's what I go for. So be sure to let me know, and if you get a chance, check out the Blackstone Eternal comic, which you can find on Indie Planet. And thanks for watching, and have a great day, and keep drawing. Bye bye.